Fuck yeah. Perfect. Got it?
That's dope.
Hey, what's happening? Painful Lessons Podcast. This is Tyler Ramsey. We own mistakes. We own mistakes. That's our vibe. That's what we like to say. And today we have a mental health coach, an expert, and her name is Dani Druz. She's also an actress and a producer. But we have her on because she has like a tremendous understanding, not just of mental health, but like how sobriety and recovery become like a big part of the whole process. She knows a lot about dual diagnosis, and I'm going to turn her right now. Dani, hello.
Hi. I also myself have 18 years of sobriety as of January 10th.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
18 years.
Yeah.
How to I have I'm a month away from 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. And I'm astounded that I got that. And dear God, I wish that I would have like really dug in much earlier.
It's okay. You pay in other ways. Don't worry.
What do you mean by that?
I think I'll say for me, like my worst addiction was definitely sugar.
Okay.
And so
Easy.
yeah, oh God, it like way worse than cocaine. Like sugar, I was working on the TV show Entourage when I
Okay.
first moved to LA, and I was working for the casting director.
Awesome.
And so I was binge eating out the entire because I'm in the office, So
Yeah.
not only did they ordering me lunch, I went from 100 to 160 pounds in 2 months. I went from being main character to like sidekick girl, and it was not fun. I got to tell you. And I was like, I got to fucking fix this. I got to
Wait,
get off the
In
sugar
2
thing.
months?
In 2 months.
That's like stretch mark character.
No, yeah. I mean, it was like I'll tell you this, but the only men that were looking at me were guys with like really big asses. So.
Oh yeah, sure. Which is such a thing now. Oh my gosh.
I know, this was not a thing. This was 2007. This is when, I came up in the Paris Hilton, Lindsay Lohan era.
Yeah.
So this was not a thing. We were still coming off the 90s anorexia. Like
You didn't know. You're like, soon I'm going to be like hot stuff on a hip hop video.
No. Actually, no, I hid until I could figure out how to drop the weight.
Oh my gosh.
If only
So
the
wait,
head
that was
epic.
that your first job coming out of LA?
Yeah, that was why I moved to LA. I had come to visit some family, and somebody knew Doug Ellen, and actually, so somebody knew Doug Ellen, and they linked me with him, and I was still using at the time, and so
And not just sugar. You were using
no, yeah, I was using actually I was on like 19 different prescription medications and
Okay.
using like an 8-ball of cocaine and like 2 or 3 80 milligram Oxycontin every 2 days.
Oh my God.
And so I meet this guy who's friends with Doug Ellen, and he's like, I think I could get you a job working for the casting director. And like, what a great opportunity as a 20-year-old actress to like
Sure.
come and learn the ropes. But really, I just wanted to have sex with Adrian Grenier. I'm not gonna lie. That was No, I didn't. Actually, he was so sweet to me, and he treated me like a little sister. And but he's like a playboy. I think like if there was ever an opportunity, which I don't know if there was, or just I was 20.
Yeah.
He had
You didn't.
I didn't. Yeah,
You
he had spread himself around town at that point. I didn't want to get my heart crushed,
That show is I loved that show. It was so fun.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, it was the most amazing show to work on. Sheila, I don't know if people know this about Sheila Jaffe, but
She the casting director?
she's the casting director, and she was partnered with Christopher Walken's wife.
Wow.
So it used to be called Walken Jaffe. And she's like this badass, beautiful, like sassy, Jewish, East Coast girl. But like back in the day, she was like the chick, like from what, and she didn't tell me this, but other people have told me this, like Mick Jagger was after her.
Wow.
Like she was like the socialite hot chick, and she's just crushes. She's like the most amazing to work for. But she did the
And
Sopranos.
you could get someone an audition for Entourage.
Yeah. So actually,
You were amazing then.
okay. So I did this movie
Yeah.
when I was 17.
Okay.
In New Jersey.
Okay.
I had like a little feature. Essentially, I think I had like one word or something. I didn't make in the movie. It was a Stephen Colbert movie called Strangers with Candy,
It's amazing.
and it starred Philip Seymour Hoffman
Yeah.
and Chris Pratt and
gosh.
I forget the other actors. Anyway, obviously being 17, I was like, oh my God, Chris Pratt is so fucking hot. Right. And so I'm trying everything to like figure out how to like get a moment, you know?
Sure.
And I did end up actually having this conversation with Philip Seymour Hoffman outside. He was like, you're really interesting. Like, you know, I don't really remember the whole thing because I was very focused on Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, who's this weird kind of heavyset older man? Because I'm 17. And anyway, so when I got to LA, I'm like, I should look up that actor. He was so fucking hot, you know?
Yeah.
And now I'm in this like big girl. I mean, I'm essentially an intern, but like in my head, I'm in this big girl position. But yeah. Like no, I had it in, and so I became like best friends with Chris Pratt's. Her name was Sharon, with Chris Pratt's agent. Her name was Sharon Paz, and I would try to call him in for every single thing. This is before he was famous.
That's amazing.
Or he had done some stuff, and I think he was married to Anna by that point. But like, I was obsessed with getting him on the show, and eventually he played her husband on the show. But that wasn't my doing. But.
You know, my first job was working on Baywatch, and I could get people jobs as extras, and it was like it was the social currency. It was just like
totally.
it's like. You can't even calculate it. It was so because anyone that got a gig, they would be able to eat like a king all day, and they would spend the day at the beach.
I've done my fair share of background.
Maybe get a SAG card.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, get a Taft Hartley. Yeah, for sure.
I spent a decade casting television shows. I used to cast and produce reality TV shows, and I would cast, and so I would require hosts, and then sometimes we would cast actors for things, and.
I did a little reality casting. I'm familiar.
You did?
I did. I did it for that show Next.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I worked for Caroline.
Bumgarden, right?
No, I forget her. Johnson.
So all you like before social media, it was just I just had an army of like hot people that would go out to clubs, and they would find someone that would just go like it was like such a different world.
Yeah, I mean, like when I was using in New York, I used to sell hair salon promotions.
Hair salon
promotion. So like before like the internet.
Yeah.
Before the internet. You know, I would sell these like cards that basically said like you would get this whole, you know, all these services.
Sure.
On this great New York salon on the Upper East Side, which was like valid, and those services existed. And so they were getting this promotional thing, but I have to like go to someone and be like, oh my God, I love your hair.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'd have to have them trust me to give me their fucking credit card information.
Yeah.
To buy this piece of paper. I made some decent money doing it though.
Well, an attractive girl on drugs can sell pretty much anything.
I don't know how attractive I was when I was on drugs. I'm not
when you were on drugs.
Yeah, I was pretty messy, and like
sunglasses can hide anything.
No, I was a late bloomer. You know, I wasn't. I didn't really get like cute till my late 20s, I think.
Well, a chatty, excited person on drugs. I feel like.
Roxasets were great for selling because you just didn't give a shit. You know, blue pills.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
I am familiar with most drugs.
Yeah.
How did you get sober?
Okay. So it was like a series of events.
Yeah.
First, Christmas Eve.
Okay.
Basically, I had been sort of hooking up with an older guy in my hometown who was wealthy.
Okay.
And he called me and he wanted to see me. And I said, well, if you come over and you give me all your drugs and you sit in the corner and you watch me do them, and you're not allowed to fucking look at me though.
Oh my gosh.
Like you have to look away. And he did it. And I was so disgusted with him, you know, because I hated myself so much. I was like, I can't believe this fucking 33-year-old man. I'm 19 at the time.
Come over and watch me do the drugs and sit in the corner Didn't he want to go? I mean, if they're my drugs too.
I don't care.
Okay, got it. So he can't also be doing the
No,
drugs?
they were my drugs.
Okay.
If you want to hang out with me on Christmas Eve, they're my drugs.
And I need all of them.
And all of them.
If
And you can't really look, he's only allowed to look peripherally. Like I'd
Okay.
be like, stop looking at me.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Harsh rules, but okay, got it. And he's like, okay, I'll do this. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, and then I was like, but then I was really feeling my self-hatred because I think like one of the problems in my life was that like I wasn't getting told no a lot. And so anyway, what ended up happening was I'm like trying to wrap the presents for my family and my hands are so coked out that the tape won't stick.
Oh gosh.
You know,
Wait,
on
wait,
the
wait.
presents.
Okay. Is it because the tape wouldn't stick because you couldn't keep your hands
No, because I
steady?
had the coke on my hand.
Oh,
You know
gosh.
what I'm talking about? Because
Yes.
you're bumping lines.
Okay, gosh.
You're getting it out, and then it's the residues on your thing, and then it gets on the tape, and then the
Okay.
tape doesn't fucking stick. Anyway, this is like this moment for me. That was my moment of clarity.
Yeah.
Where I was like, fuck, this is really fucked up. Like I never had that thought.
You're like, if anything would put me on the Santa naughty list, it's this.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I never had that thought up until that point. I was like, and I'm like looking, you know, I've got like
I'm naughty.
I've got like creepy old guy like just like peering at me, and I'm like,
Okay.
look away, trying to wrap it, like snorting his coke.
Oh gosh. My gosh.
My
Creepy
dad and my
old
brothers
guy.
are upstairs sleeping. Anyway, so that run, what had actually
Those
happened?
two things. Those are colorful rock bottoms.
Well, so
Could
but
be
also,
way worse though.
But so no, I'm not done.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
the what had happened was that I had done my visit in Los Angeles. I'd gotten the job on
Yeah.
Entourage.
Yeah.
I decided that I should probably sleep with Adrian Grenier. I decided that he probably wouldn't want a co-core from New Jersey.
Okay.
I go home
Okay.
and I go on a fucking tear. That
Oh my gosh.
includes this Christmas Eve. I think I also like made my ex-boyfriend cry. I definitely crashed my car into a fire hydrant. I broke into a drug dealer's house that owed me money while he was fucking someone else and
Okay.
demanded my money in the slashes tires. I went on like a fucking tear.
Oh my word.
At the end of that was Christmas Eve.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sorry, New Year's Eve. That's after. So after Christmas Eve, I go up to my dad. My dad was like the most chill guy. And I go, Dad, hey, I think I'm a drug addict. And he's like, I'm like, I've been selling drugs. And he's like, okay, sweetheart. Well, I think, you know, probably should get you in rehab. Anyway, I'm going to go back to sleep, but I love you and we'll discuss it in the morning.
Oh my word.
And I'm like, okay. So, you know, I continue my tear, and then it ends up New Year's Eve. I'm with like a trust fund girlfriend of mine.
Okay.
She and I go, I don't really remember. There was a lot of like, you know, like high society New York parties. We ended up at some kind of concert, maybe. She tries to rope me into a threesome. I'm like, I'll just say that like it was not a desirable moment, I think, for her to have a threesome in the way that she was maintaining herself. And
Okay. That sounds like a kind. That sounds like a kind. You're like, the problem with this, what you're pitching is that it's gonna be painfully obvious that one of us isn't really pulling our weight in this.
I mean, there
Yeah.
was just, you know, some like gynecological
Oh my
things.
word.
Yeah. So I don't know. There was a smell.
that's
Anyway,
true.
so
Oh my God.
and so I was like, I don't think, and especially when you're doing cocaine, like your nose is so sensitive.
Oh my God.
know? And it's like, but so somehow throughout the night, I lost my shoes. I lost all the buttons on my shirt. It had been raining, and we were like in
Yeah,
this
it suits.
really nice high Upper East Side like hotel.
Yeah.
I still don't exactly know how we got there. And so I like I gotta leave the room. I gotta
Sure.
leave the room. It's like I'm not game for whatever's going on there. And so I go down to the couch and I'm just like sitting. Everyone's like New Year's Day, like cheersing and
Yeah.
like dressed in these beautiful outfits. And I have like my shirt open and like no shoes. And I called my dad and I'm like, I think you need to pick me up because I'm too high to drive home.
Oh my God, Dukes.
And
love
like, and Anyway, so
You're like, Dad, you should have listened to me when I said I needed to go to rehab.
No, actually, look, my father did. My father was endlessly supportive of me.
Sure.
But like, he would make suggestions, and he said, I remember just like a side note. Like, I remember one time my dad, I came home to visit while my brothers were in high school,
Yeah.
and my brothers were home on a weekend night. And I go, are they losers? Like, are they dorks? Like, why are they home on a Saturday night? Like, because that would be impossible
Sure.
for me. And he goes, no, sweetie, I told them they couldn't go out unless they did their homework. And I was like, you never said that to me. Like, do you love them more? Like, what? And he goes, no, sweetheart, I would say to you, hey, you can't do this. And you would go, oh, Daddy, haven't we been over this? And you would wave your hand and you would leave for 3 weeks.
Amazing.
Like, I mean, I dropped out of school in 7th grade.
Oh my word. I would flip out if my kids tried that.
Well, no, I got a psychiatrist note that said I had social anxiety, and then the school paid for tutors, and then I manipulated some woman to like talk about her ex-husband. I have a perfect GPA, and I walked and graduated and went to prom.
Congratulations.
And I sold coke and heroin with college guys.
I never sold drugs. And I always thought that I was like, I don't know why I don't also sell these. I'm so happy I never got into it, because I always get in trouble for things. But the people that were smart enough to do drugs and then also sell them to be able to pay for those drugs.
Yeah, you get the freebies.
I mean, like, way to go, guys.
My Jewish heart just loves a good freebie. But like,
yeah,
built for the math.
It was a unique time to be a Jew. This is like,
I know.
I can't even, I mean, I could go on and on about it. Seems insane to me, the quantity of prisoners that they're trading for, like dozens of living hostages that are left. Like, I could go on and on, but
yeah. I mean, look, I think it's a really
shit show.
I think it's I always think it's tough to talk about any kind of foreign difficulties going on without being there, right? I think without living through it, we can only use what we're hearing on the news and the media, and even my friends or my family who went down to Gaza. But in the
Your
end,
friends and family went down to Gaza?
Yeah, there's a
and
yeah. I mean, they're Jews. Like, obviously, they're working on creating safety for the people of Israel and volunteer and but I just always think, like, I don't know, I tend to be a really macro person, and any kind of situation where I think personally you need to just understand that you don't understand first and foremost.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Every now and then I just kind of assume that I understand everything.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah. I think that's where I try to live.
We would be enraged if that happened here. Oh my gosh, we'd be like, are you joking? It's like
the nuclear codes would be
I went to go see the Nova.
Trump's little sticky fingers.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I went to the Nova Festival exhibit, and is this like hardcore walkthrough where you hear all these phone calls that were being made at the time, and it's like really immersive.
Yeah.
And I just left like furious.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, I think that's an appropriate response, right? I think when when humanity is affected,
sure,
if you are a human in touch with that, the appropriate response is to be furious, right? But I also think, like, I'm just someone who really values my independent thinking, and so I don't buy what anybody's selling. I listen and I sit with the information, and I create conceptual ideas based on how that integrates into my mind.
Listen, good for you. I like to get caught up in emotion and charge ahead. And I've definitely been on the wrong side of some issues, but I'm This one, just am
Yeah.
filled, just
Yeah.
feeling the
Oh,
rage.
anti-Semitism is disgusting. I mean,
Yeah, of
like, we're
course.
dealing in like times where you got Gen Zers fucking Holocaust denying. Like,
Crazy.
it's like
Crazy.
the mind virus of the internet that has infected these kids' brains is just
Insane.
wild to me. Yeah.
Insane that anyone
Yeah.
would be denying that.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you got to a point.
Oh,
Where'd you go
right.
to rehab? Did it take like
I went
5
to-
times or something?
No.
I went to
once.
3
I got
rehabs.
struck sober. I've never relapsed.
Good for you. Wow,
ye-
that's amazing.
Yeah. I went to a place called Father Martin's Ashley.
Okay, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's in Bethesda, Maryland. My mother had been to 14 different rehabs.
Whoa.
So, and I had done all the family programs. And so I had my, I had already had. So I was like, oh, that one seemed to go really well for her. So
Wow.
maybe I should copy it. And yeah, so okay, there was one thing that happened in between the New Year's thing, which is that I went to a movie premiere
Okay.
in New York, and Cedric the Entertainer was there.
Cedric the Entertainer. He's hilarious.
Hilarious. I taken a
Did he
lot-
die? I
No,
think he
no,
died.
he's
Okay,
alive.
Okay. One of them died.
Anyway, I'd taken a lot of Xanax.
Okay.
And I just know that like my conversation with Cedric the Entertainer was definitely way too friendly.
Oh gosh.
And I like halfway through my like Xanax blackout, I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, I need to go. And I promptly checked myself into rehab the next day. I'm like, that scenario could have gone wrong on so many levels. Anyway, that was my bottom.
What did you? Your bottom was that you were overly flirtatious or overly.
I'm not gonna comment because I
Okay.
was in my Xanax benzo
Yeah.
moment.
Yes.
So I wasn't there to observe myself, so I can't really speak to it. All I know is that like halfway through, I just was like, I need to go.
Sure.
And I look, like, I had already been leading up between the Christmas thing and the creepy guy and the,
Yeah.
unsavory potential threesome. Like there was like all these moments where it was like, and then
Lot
and then the Cedric and I'm having those what they call in the big book moments of clarity.
Sure.
And that was I think I actually drove to rehab like the next day, which my date is January 10th.
Too much Xanax is like I one time I was a host and I would interview celebrities for their movie junkets. And one junket, I took like way too much Xanax and I was real loose with the questions.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I interviewed like Angelina Jolie
Oh,
and Nicolas
no.
Cage. And I
so
and I
funny.
had like 30 cups of coffee and
Oh no.
maybe like 15 Xanax.
No.
And I was
Wait, like footballs or bars though?
these were
No, you would be out. You'd be on
is
the
it the
ground.
1 milligram or 10
Yeah,
milligram?
yeah. You do the footballs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The and I just was like, yeah, it's 1 milligram. And I just remember one interview was with it was actually for a junket for the movie. I don't know, Tom Green was in it. And anyway, I was like interviewing someone and all of a sudden they're like, what? Like during the interview, the people, it was like Amy Smart is who it was.
Oh,
She's like,
she was
what
so
is
funny.
going on with you?
Oh,
I was like,
no.
nothing.
You were like, woo, here's my dick.
Oh my gosh. It was so out of hand. And like even Angelina Jolie, her publicist was like, is that guy okay? Oh, and it was Giovanni Ribisi. I was like pretending as if like I thought it would be really clever to interview him as if he was just in a porno movie and asking him questions about doing a porno movie. And I thought that was like real clever. And he was just like, what are you talking about? And then he started going along with it. And it turned out to be a great interview, a really great interview. And
that's amazing.
And then even I remember interviewing Leonardo DiCaprio with the same situation. It was like it was in Hawaii. It was this biggest thing, and I just could not have been more like messed up. And I remember looking at him and thinking like he's so aware that I am like I've already forgot what I said a minute ago.
Yeah.
And I like it was so out of hand, but he was so nice. He was really nice about it.
Yeah, he's actually really nice.
I think my
It was I mean, I've only
the
met him a handful of
nicest. I
times,
think
but
it's great.
I've had always like nice
The
experiences.
greatest. The
Yeah.
greatest.
I have a really funny Leo DiCaprio story.
What's the story?
Okay. So there's this model
Yeah.
that I know who for a very long time and she had dated some people close to me when I
Okay.
was really young. So I've known her since I was like 12 and she's like 10 years older.
Sure.
Anyway, she's like had this crush on Leo forever. So one night she
Okay.
calls me. This is like, I don't know. This has got to be like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But she calls me and she's like, listen, I got invited to leave. But she's, Romanian. I can't do a Romanian accent. But, Dani, like, listen, tonight is the night. Leo and I are both Scorpios. And, you have to come. We're going to, what was that fucking club over on Sunset that,
Hide?
no, that was the One Oak. One Oak.
Oh, yeah, One Oak.
Okay, so she's like, you have to come to the table, One Oak, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, girl, like, she's like, I think this is the night that we fall in love. And I'm like, like she's like 30 at the time,
Okay.
like, which I think we all know is a little, outside the age range that.
Oh, yeah. That's the reputation. Yeah.
Only from what I hear, nothing I've ever seen.
By 5, yeah.
And so we get to the table and she's like going in hard. Like she's like professing love. She's like, oh, Leo, this is the night. We are Scorpio. There is a full moon. And he knows her and he's being like very sweet, actually.
Okay.
And he's like, engaging her and whatever. But he's got like 2 18-year-olds on like, I don't know, either side of him.
Right.
And like, he's just doing his thing, And or I don't know if they're 18, but that's how at least that's what they look like.
Sure.
And probably 21 because it was in a club.
Okay.
For legal purposes.
Yeah, that's obviously. And so eventually he starts to do like the celebrity stare through. You know what I'm talking about.
Of course.
Yes, like where they're like they've been as polite as they possibly can be. And
so they just look through.
Right. They're just there. I love the stare through. I use the stare through with men all the time. That's like one of my favorite moves, actually, where they like come up to me and they're like, Dani. And I go,
oh my gosh. Cringe.
It's my favorite. But I have like everything's a bit to me. So
I spent an entire evening with David Blaine and he was friends with this girl that I was dating. And for one whole evening, I got the stare through. It was like never really looked at me or
you're a man and you're
Dude,
+1 man.
It's
of course.
the creepiest
you don't get
encounter I've ever had
acknowledged.
with a person.
Of course.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that seems like the obvious choice. But,
I guess so.
But okay, so at the end of the night, it's very obvious that like we're not invited to Leo's, but Leo's having an after party.
Okay.
And so my friend
And you're not invited. Ouch.
We're definitely not invited. Like we are not invited. And I'd also brought like one of my girlfriends from Jersey at the time to like, and we're not invited. They like, and so my friend is like trying to garner us an invite. And so she's like going to the other models and she's like, we go to Leo, blah, 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 this and that. And then finally she finds like one of his
people.
Yes, let's call them his people.
One of the entourage. Yeah.
One of the entourage. And she goes, oh, my friend doesn't drink. She can drive us. So I'm like, sure. So we get up and like halfway through the car ride, he kind of like seems to get like he was like, yeah, sure. But he was like pretty drunk. And like halfway through the car ride, he's like, girl, like,
did you get invited?
Yeah, are you invited? And she's like, yes, it's fine. And so we get to the house and she's like, no. And he goes, I gotta go check. And she's like, no, I have to pee. And me and my friend are looking at each other. We're like, we're gonna wait here. Like, if you don't come out in like 15, like we're gonna roll.
Yeah.
But like, like come out and let us know like whether you want to stay or whether you want to go.
Sure.
But we're thinking we're gonna go, but I don't want to leave you like stranded in the hills.
Sure.
And so she comes out and she's like, oh no, it's fine. Everything is fine. Come.
Okay.
So we're like, okay.
She sounds really good at this. She sounds She
She's
does sound
very
like
beautiful.
okay.
I mean, this woman is genetically blessed in a way that is like one of those types of like beautiful where like
okay.
you barely understand that you guys are of the same species.
Okay.
Like she's, it's like, this woman is just so
Sure.
unbelievably physically attractive.
Sure.
And so we walk in and we get to the backyard and it's like a fucking record scratch. And Leo looks up and he's like, and fucking, and so he calls over his friend, like, kind of like, get rid of her. And so she starts pretending not to speak English.
Oh, wow.
She goes, no, I not understand. And she's like starting to run through Leo's house. And we're like in the backyard. And so me and my friend, and it's like, it's a really like interesting vibe because it's like a bunch of really like beautiful women.
Yeah.
But no one's really like talking to each other.
Right.
And like, you know, he's kind of playing chess. I mean, it's very mellow. A couple guys are there. Like, it's not, you know.
Did you say he's playing chess?
Yeah, I think with like what, like a very tall woman, beautiful. You know,
Okay.
everyone's beautiful. Okay, we've established that. So this girl starts like running through the house, and then the guy is like chasing her, like, "You gotta get out of here, bitch!"
Oh God!
And she's like, and I can see Leo kind of like cringing because it's like not his way of
of course.
he's a nice guy, right? To speak to how the story got started. And like, and so anyway, so my friend who has never been to a Hollywood party is like, I don't think they want us here. And I was like, oh honey, like nobody's invited to anywhere in LA.
Gosh,
like don't worry about it. Like everybody feels like they're not invited in the room. And so these two guys get into the hot tub. I'll leave their names out of it. But so I finally just walk over and I'm like, wow, sausage fest in the hot tub at Leo DiCaprio's house. Like, what are you guys doing in there? A little sword fight? Or like, you know, I wasn't
Oh, my
expecting that. And they're like, wow, a girl with a personality. We weren't expecting that either. Like take off your clothes, get in here. And I was like, wait, so I get all the girls
to get in the hot tub.
To take off their clothes or get down to their bra and underwear and get in the hot tub.
So you're the hero.
I get everybody to get in the hot tub. I create a game of truth or dare. And
you're the huge hero.
And then because obviously I know Leo's not going to play the game of truth or dare, I'm like, you can be the moderator. Why don't you, like, if you don't like the truth or you don't like the dare, since you're the king of the castle, like, you can up the ante, right?
Okay.
And he's like down,
It's a great game.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm like creating the whole game. And actually, it turned out one of the guys had followed me on social media previous, and like, you know, whatever. And so I got this whole game going. I got everybody loose, you know. I'm like getting it done, and you know, the girl comes back around, and she's like, she's still running. She almost falls in the pool, and she goes, "Oh, Leo, your friend is so terrible. Oh my god." And I like call her over, and I'm like, "Speedy,
You're killing it.
you're a supermodel. Please just take off your fucking clothes. Like, get your bra and get in the fucking hot tub. Like, I'm trying to help you here.
Yeah, of course.
You know, shh. You know, hush on the talkie. More the swimmy. It's 3 a.m. You know, fuck. And so anyway, the guy catches up and he's like, "You gotta go, bitch!" And I'm like, "All right, we'll leave." And they're like, "No, Danny, don't go."
Amazing.
but I took her.
You became the most valuable person at the party. And even though she was absolutely stunning, your friend was so over the top, incredibly persistent that it got her kicked out. And then you had to take her home. That is a typical Hollywood night.
I know.
Yes.
I know. I feel, but because like in the end of the day, like I'm just here for the bit, you know, like I just love, the stakes aren't there for me. My nervous system is too designed to be in this environment.
Did you go through so it seems like you're very gregarious. Did you have a period after getting sober where you thought, am I still going to be fun? Am I still going to?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that was really rough on me, you know, because I got really fucking fat and I wasn't used to being fat. And
Sure.
And
Wait, you were fat when you moved to LA, and then you got fat for a minute.
No, it was from working on Entourage because they were feeding me so many. I mean,
that's when you got sober.
I was like eating whole bags of cookies, and then like being like.
That was like the beginning of Trader Joe's, and
I was eating all those fucking cookies, those Trader Joe's cookies.
Yeah.
I should sue them. So irritated. Now that I think about that,
everyone was eating that. Everyone in Hollywood was eating those same cookies, the same there was like these cinnamon cookies and these. I
And
remember
like also like
peanut butter filled
they were
pretzels.
so nice to me on that show between like Rob Weiss and Doug and the AD, this guy named Gary. Fuck, I forget his last name now, which I feel bad, but I
don't know.
forget
We
it.
don't
But
need
like anyway,
to
they
know.
were letting me like call in people to cast. They were letting me like work. Like they were letting me audition. I didn't book anything. I think because I was fat. And
Okay.
you know, I mean, it's not really a show for fat people, but
It's not.
but let's be real.
It's not.
And so sure, they didn't really have them.
And now they've
no.
cured being fat.
Right.
They've cured it.
Yeah.
They have cured it. I mean,
Ozempic is full on cured being fat. There's no reason.
I've been on and off on Ozempic for years. Yeah.
I tried for like a week and it gave me incredible heartburn.
Yeah. I had that for the first 8 weeks. Never comes back.
Yeah.
If you get it through, but how much? What was your dose?
I have no idea.
So the problem is the dosage. Like I've only been on the lowest dose because it actually balances your hormones. Like I had fibroids, and that was recommended to me by an endocrinologist.
Fibroids. My wife used to have she had a product and they would pull fibroids out of people.
Right. Yeah. So what? And after I had a surgery, and after I had that, I got put on Ozempic to rebalance my hormones.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's what endocrinologists were originally using it for, was blood sugar and hormone balancing.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I tried somebody else's and it made me sick. So it's like
Yeah, the dosage is everything.
now the only thing is I can't go a day without working out.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's great for your mental health.
Well,
I'm
it's
so fucking
great for your
lazy.
mental health. And then once you get going, once you're like once you start and then get over the hump of working out and everything, and you're just like, oh man. So now if I go through like a whole day without working out, it just like really bothers me. So I'll do something at night.
No, I wish I had
That's the
that
trick.
affliction. I don't. I have a nap affliction.
You have a
But-
nap affliction?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, I mean, like if
I
you
have this buddy that's, I swear to God, is like half of his life is like naps.
me too.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
especially even if you say something I don't like, I'll just nap
What
at you.
on
I'll just
earth?
an angry nap. Like when I'm in a relationship and like my partner like says something that I don't like, I just fall asleep. I'm just done. I should.
That would be so easy to deal with.
Yeah, I'm like,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
I'm just like a napper. I'm just like, okay, I am feeling a lot of feelings. I'm done with this conversation.
Sleep is the hardest thing for me. I can't go to. I have trouble going to sleep.
Oh, it's such Well, I mean, there's peptides for that. I'm on a whole regime of peptides.
No, but I think that the peptides will keep you.
No. There's so many. There's ones for sleep as well.
No, okay, I'm aware of that.
Okay,
It's
sorry.
my understanding though, the peptide that helps sleep is once you get sleep, then you stay asleep. My issue is going to sleep.
Yeah, they'll make
Yeah.
you tired.
Okay, we'll see. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm open to the world of peptides.
I can hook you with my girl.
Okay, great. I'd love to know
Yeah.
about it. Although well, listen, you understand sobriety. Like I stay away from anything that is a drug. I even did
No, this is
my biggest flex as a sober person is that I did a colonoscopy with no drugs.
Oh, ooh,
Right?
yeah, raw dogging.
Raw dog. Did it hurt? Yeah, it's awful. It's the worst experience ever. And it didn't
I probably would've
hurt.
gotten off on it, but
It didn't. No, listen,
Look, I'm from Jersey.
It didn't- what's Jersey have to do? It didn't.
We're dirty.
It didn't. No, I'm telling you, it didn't. It wasn't a thing where the pain wasn't getting in. That's why I was like, oh, it's gonna be so. That wasn't it. To be honest, I barely felt that. It sounds like it was like incredibly lubed up. It's pretty easy. The issue is that once it gets in your belly, like in your guts, it's like you don't even. It's like there are no nerve endings like way up in here.
Yeah.
So you don't feel that, but
Yes,
your
I
body
know
is
about
like,
past the nerve endings.
okay, your body is like, what's going on? So it'll have like this incredible cramp to try to be like, move that thing around.
right.
So all of a sudden you just feel like, oh, ow, eesh.
Wild.
And then I thought I was just gonna like go to the bathroom everywhere, and it's
Yeah,
like, oh my
yeah.
god, it's the worst.
What about just doing general? Why don't you just go under?
What?
Why don't you go under general study?
Because it was explained to me that propofol, which is what they use,
Yeah.
is delightful.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can't do things that are delightful.
Yeah,
I can't.
You don't really know when you're.
I didn't want a chance that all of a sudden I developed a taste for something that I didn't like.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Look, I think
yeah.
under 5 years of sobriety, you really are very susceptible. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think like, I mean, look, I did 3 meetings a day for my first 5 years.
You did 3 meetings a day? Wow,
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was fucked up, you know. I needed it and I had a trust fund at the time. So
You had what? A trust fund?
yeah, it's
So you're
gone
able
now.
to.
What?
You're able to.
That shit is gone, but
Yeah,
it got me sober.
Anyone that is like hitting several meetings a day, I'm like, good for you. But also, how are you doing it? I do
Hey,
about
Daddy.
5 a week, five meetings a
Oh,
week.
that's great.
And a lot of them are on Zoom. So
Yeah,
it's like
I know people love the Zoom. I can't do the Zoom. I hate the Zoom.
the quantity of time that it
Makes
cuts
me
out of
so
your day.
angry. Zoom makes me angry. I don't know.
Zoom makes you angry?
Yeah, it just irritates me. It's like everything irritating.
Why?
I'm like,
You
I'm
can't
like,
be on the phone with somebody? Just, I mean, how is that irritating?
all the.
Zoom meetings are great.
Okay, so I have this condition. It's called misophonia. Okay,
Are you explaining FOMO?
No, misophonia.
Okay, it's a real condition.
It's a real condition. I'm really sensitive to sound.
Okay.
So like licking, dripping, like, you know, repetitive, even also like when someone shakes their thing, like I fucking like I lose it. Like
Okay.
and so what
What
happens
about when someone's eating?
sometimes I have to
Okay.
walk around like I'm like Warren from fucking Something About Mary. Like just
Okay.
like you can't touch the headphones. Like I'm like, you know, I'll punch you right in the face. Like I'm a little, you know.
Okay, got it.
And so there's something about the sound with all the echoing and the like and the people not putting
Sure.
things on mute and it like my nervous system is just fucking
So I bet you have a hard time sharing a bed with somebody.
No.
The snoring and all the human noise.
No, because I'm sleeping all the time.
Okay, so you are
My wife, I feel, is a very light sleeper.
Oh no, I'm a
and
heavy sleeper. I don't give like so when I was younger, my mom, who was a beautiful alcoholic, used to pull me out of bed at like maybe 3 or 4 and take me to bars with her.
to bars.
Yeah, so I'd have to sleep at the bar in the car.
Amazing.
So my nervous system I can just sleep. And then I was on sets. So I've just
Yeah.
been like, I can literally take a nap in full makeup and outfit, like anywhere.
Spectacular. I'm
Yeah.
so jealous.
Yeah.
People that sleep on planes.
Oh yeah, I sleep the whole time.
I just like look at them like, you suck. I hate.
Yeah, no, I'll sleep anywhere.
Very jealous.
Yeah.
The oh wait, back to sobriety.
Oh, yeah.
So because I think that is the through line.
Zoom.
I feel it's like this isn't well, I should say this is a podcast about recovery, but it's not just drug recovery, it's recovery from all kinds of things. But I do like that you what we were connected through someone in recovery. So I think that's I'm gonna stick on that through line. So
I mean, I can focus. I mean, I have 18 years. I have plenty of recovery stories to share.
and you also have experiences.
So I've worked the 12 steps in every program. I've also done a ton of outside work. So I've done everything from Landmark to MITT. I did the Course in Miracles. Marianne Williamson mentored me for years. I've done the 10-day silent meditation retreats. I came up with a protocol about balancing brain chemistry using food post-addiction. I was implementing those into rehabs. That's how I got into intervention. And like my biggest drug of choice was sugar. My favorite 12-step program is Debtors Anonymous, actually, because it's about money, which is a very sensitive topic that I think really exploits a lot of trauma. I mean, I could, pick a topic. I'm a fucking encyclopedia.
Debtors Anonymous seems like the most difficult of all the anonymouses because you can't get away from like that and eating disorders. You can't stop using money.
The food stuff, I did the food stuff. It was because I was really addicted to the sugar.
Yeah.
But really Erewhon saved me off when they got, that was where I learned all my stuff. I was really part of the Erewhon movement in 2007, which was a whole different thing.
What does that even mean to be really part of the movement? It just means you like expensive
stuff. So there's about
stuff?
like 20 of us, let's call it that. Maybe more. No, there's like maybe like 50 of us that were all like super, super, super health nuts at that time.
Okay.
That would hang at the tonic bar before it was bought by the current owners who expanded it.
Okay.
And it was kind of like this underground hippie health movement.
Okay.
Included a guy that I was just with actually in Hawaii named David Avocado Wolf.
Okay.
And a guy named he's great. I spent New Year's with him in Hawaii and his wife. and another guy, Truth Calkins,
Okay.
who is the creator, and then a bunch of different sort of personalities
Sure.
that developed what you see today as Erewhon, but that was not what that was. It was this underground, and so like Overheard LA. Okay, Overheard LA is a friend of mine who, I'm somewhere in the mix of the first 50, quotes on there. Like, it's a lot of it's the shit that came out of my mouth at the lunches when you'd run into him.
Oh, wow.
And that was what it was developed off of. I mean, not just me, but like other people like
Sure.
me who were coming in, and we were all running into each other.
Okay.
So it's like that was like this little movement of health that before it was mainstream, that we all were there doing it.
And then someone started Erewhon.
So no, Erewhon originally. I
Yeah.
give you the whole history of I'm an Erewhon.
No, I don't want the whole history of Erewhon. That's
Erewhon
not
originally was started by a guy who wanted to bring macrobiotics to LA.
okay.
He brought it in 1969. He aged out and had his second or third wife running it, who was a total maniac. And in my experience, and it wasn't run well, but it was like kind of like it had the best of the best, and Steven Tyler shopped there, and Paul McCartney shopped there.
Yeah.
It was so cool, and like, but it's just this little dirty kind of health food store, and that's like where we were all hanging. And then Tony, who's the owner now, bought it. Had no idea what he bought. He had no idea. He thought he was gonna make 5 of them and then flip it to Whole Foods at the time. And he started buying like all these like terrible products, and the people who had been part of this movement be like, Tony was so smart. He listened.
Tony, better products.
We were like, Tony, we're gonna boycott. We're gonna protest. And so he hired like most of the people that were part of that moment, and that's why he just made the math work. He was a businessman.
Yeah.
He ran Marie Callender's.
It's like we're gonna charge a fortune. That's the math.
No, he made the margins make sense. The Erewhon was losing money when Tony bought Erewhon. Wow. What Tony did is he made it a business. It wasn't a business. Like, I worked at the tonic bar. You could walk in your clothing.
Yeah.
You could bring things from outside the store.
Yeah.
You could pull anything off the shelf and just make whatever the fuck you want. So if someone came in and they were like, my heart hurts and I'm having a headache and a yeast infection, like, I could just walk around the store and pull any supplement, anything off the food shelf, and like make them some random tonic and like be like, you are healed.
What is the one product that you think what's the single most productive product that you can think of?
I think it's probiotics. Hands down.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's gut health.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, the enteric nervous system is actually
somebody made a comment. They said gut is your second brain. I didn't understand what that meant.
So yeah, so that's the enteric nervous system. So actually, some would argue that is actually more important for your brain than your central nervous system, and there's been a lot of studies over the last decade on that. Your enteric nervous system actually sends messages to your brain. It also helps balance your brain chemistry. And so what happens in modern day society and with food is that once you disrupt your microbiome in a way that creates cravings for foods that are having, let's say, toxic results on your body, like and I always give the example, like, let's say you ate Twinkies for 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Could you survive? Totally. The body is so fucking amazing that it's like adaptogenic, and it will try to utilize anything you give it to try to stay alive.
Sure.
But you would have bugs that formed in your system that could only live off Twinkies.
Okay.
And you might lose a fucking leg to gout or what,
you
know what I
lose
mean?
a leg.
Yeah, or something, things would happen. There would be breakdown.
You'd lose a toe at the very least.
For sure, right? Like, there would be things that would happen as a result, but your body could do it. So, like, within that theory, why not have the things that are optimal? So all of your cravings, all of your thoughts, all of everything is being run by your microbiome and the bugs that live in it.
Sure.
So I always used to say this to my nutrition clients: are you running your body, or is your body running you? Are your thoughts your own, or are they just what your enteric nervous system has decided to send to your brain to give you a craving to feed it?
That's interesting. I say this a lot. I quit eating Cheetos like 3 years ago, and I'm more proud of that than I am of quitting all alcohol and drugs.
Sure. I mean,
And
did you watch the movie?
you mean the movie about the spicy Cheetos?
Yeah.
I have not watched that.
What is that?
I heard, yeah, it's really good. I think he got nominated. Or
It's
something.
like it's like like a victory story of
The guy who created the spicy Cheetos.
this guy worked at Cheetos and he came up with like the recipe for spicy Cheetos, and no one would listen to him, and then he like made it happen.
That's it. Like there's no.
Yeah, but the actor did a good job. I think he maybe got nominated. It's a crap.
No one
movie.
wanted to listen. No, everyone's like, dude, you're just like you like sweep the floor at Cheetos. Why would we listen to you? He's like, because I'm telling you, Mexicans, we don't eat this stuff unless we pour a bunch of like tapatio or something on it, and then even then it needs to be spicier. And like, so I've made a slurry. They call it a slurry that you put on Cheetos. It's gonna be great, and you should listen to me. And like, no one listened to him. Then he got his voice heard somehow.
That's the story.
That's the story. I don't think it's the dark side.
I don't think I'm gonna run to the theater for that.
No, people. I mean,
Looks
I
like a
fell asleep,
compelling
I'll
story.
be honest, but my
I don't like.
ex, who was half Mexican, seemed to really enjoy it.
I don't
He
like.
cried.
He cried.
He did cry. I woke up to him crying.
It's like, way to go, Mexicans.
Involving spicy food.
Yeah.
Mexicans cry.
I require a lot of violence or aliens in movies. I generally
Really,
don't.
I want like really dark, disturbing shit. Like I'm like
Agreed. I like that.
I'm like a gummo. Happiness.
Oh, Gummo's amazing. Happiness is
Welcome to the
amazing.
Seen
dollhouse.
Substance yet?
Yeah, I have opinions.
Kids is one of the
Kids,
dark.
yeah. Larry Clark is, Harmony.
I still get so sad about what happened to that girl in Kids.
Yeah, that was a
Oh,
bummer.
what
Thank
a-
God for prep these days. But like, the
Jeez.
kids don't have to deal with that anymore.
Wait, thank God for what? Prep?
Oh yeah, you don't know about that?
What's prep?
I mean, yeah, if you want to fuck with Gen Zs, you got to know about prep.
What's prep?
So prep prevents HIV transmission.
Okay.
Yeah, so like it's kind of been eradicated.
Is it I
don't know.
a
I've never
vaccine
taken
kinda
prep.
thing?
This is a Gen Z thing. So I
How does
think
it
it's
work?
just a medication. I don't know.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. They all talk about it. I mean, I'm not.
Do you take it before you have sex, or do you just like take it and you won't get it?
Yeah, you just take it and you won't get it.
They eradicated AIDS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to
Yeah,
go.
with prep. Yeah.
Way to go, AIDS.
Yeah.
That's only in Japan. I don't know.
Well, no. Okay, here's the thing, because my
It
ex
seemed like they were
was
having
Gen Z.
tons of
Actually,
sex.
I
Okay.
fell into a relationship with a younger man. It wasn't a
Okay.
great experience, but regardless of that, the Gen Zs are either having so much sex because they're fucking both genders and there's like no boundary on the man or the woman's side,
Yikes. Okay.
or they're incels. Like there's no like really in between it. It's
Oh,
like
they're just all over the place, or they're not.
and
doing
they
anything.
do aesthetics really well. The copy and paste of the internet on these little fucking munchkins are like adorable. So they look great and they like have all this like internet vernacular, but they're like hollow and empty inside and so fucking lost. It's like, oh God, the pain of watching it. I tried. I got my ass handed to me by working with a bunch of Gen Zs and dating one. So anyway,
And dating one.
it was not.
How
I wouldn't do
on
it again.
could you date one? That seems
Okay, the story's really wild, and I don't
like
even know. It's
trouble.
Well, we gotta hear it now.
Yeah, let's hear the story. If it's a good story.
Well, so I had done I have done ayahuasca in my and I could talk a little bit about alternative medicine.
I've done ayahuasca. It was very productive.
Yeah, it was very
I'm
productive.
glad I did it before I got sober.
So I did it in my sobriety and long-term sobriety.
Okay.
But I did it accountable with a therapist and a sponsor.
Okay.
And I actually believe in gene testing if you are sober, because you can express a gene that could create some kind of manic episode. And there's actually genes you can test for to show if there's a possibility of expression. And so that's something I actually helped some of my clients with and
Wait, okay. So you're telling me that there's a gene that
there's
if
a
you
couple
test
different
for,
genes. There's a handful of them.
you can maybe avoid the potential that you'll trigger some type of manic depressant thing. Oh my
Manic
gosh.
episode, because like, look, the fear, I think, and I had this fear, I'll say
Okay.
for myself and then also for my clients,
Okay.
or something when you're talking to someone like Matt Perry, or you're talking to someone who's discussing these alternative medicines, is the first thing I thought to myself, okay, like what causes a manic episode? What causes
Sure.
somebody to go off the deep end, right? And my mother was borderline and she was an alcoholic and
Yeah.
she went off the deep end and she drank herself to death. And so I have a very visceral experience with that.
Okay.
And so I'm like, look, I can't stop. There's a huge disconnect in recovery right now between alternative medicine and mainstream, recovery. And I can't stop really wealthy people from going and seeking out. And if I don't help them with it, they're going to find what they want to find. And drug addicts in general are going to find what they want to find. So
Yeah.
why not help them do it in the safest way possible? And that was
Right.
sort of my thinking. And within that, I did some research. I talked to some naturopathic doctors and I was like, what could go wrong? And so one of the things that came up was that I believe there to be, and don't quote me on this, I'm, just sort of pulling from my memory. I believe there to be like 5 or 6 genes that create manic episodes that, if triggered and express themselves, could kind of send you off the deep end. And if you
Okay.
don't have enough copies of those,
Does everybody know this?
no, this is just something I discovered in my process.
Can I have a question? Can that apply also to like taking acid? Because I know
Yeah,
several people
yeah.
who never returned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Or even
I mean, it's epigenetics.
I know people who
In
have
the-
taken acid and never returned.
Right. It's because of these copies. And if you have, I believe, and again, don't quote me on this, Google
Wow.
it or whatever. So you can have, I believe it's 4 from mom, 4 from dad, right? And
Okay.
so you can only get 1, and it could be like 1 from mom. Like dad could have 0. Like you could have 4 and 4,
Sure.
and that puts you at the highest risk. So every copy creates a percentage.
Got it.
So, like, if you have 1 from mom, 1 from dad, that's a really good percentage because it's on both sides,
Yeah.
right? And that's what they talk about
Sure.
in genes. So this is just like gene information. I'm not a gene expert. This was just the research I did personally for myself. And so I went and got my genes tested. I ran it through. I worked with a doctor on it.
What
Turns out,
gene were they looking for?
I don't know off the top of my head. I
But
don't.
the- but
But
you're
there are doctors who understand this.
Like the BRCA gene is a gene
There's
that if you
there's
have
several
that, you could
genes
get
that
a certain
create this.
cancer. So this is
Yeah.
So this is another gene. Interesting.
Yeah. And so that would be what I would recommend to my clients if they in sobriety wanted to
Wow.
do alternative medicine. I would recommend they get their genes tested first.
Okay.
Most important
Wow.
thing. Yeah.
I think I have it for weed because I still have nightmares about my first time ever.
Dude, I have a friend that he just didn't really. He's had so much issues with depression as soon as he started messing with ayahuasca.
Yeah.
They have great experiences with ayahuasca or great experience with mushrooms or something, but all of a sudden he's like this uncontrollable depression.
Yeah. It's a gene expression usually. But so, I mean, in conjunction with so many other
With
things.
so many other things, I
Yeah.
get it, but that's something I'd never discussed with him. Interesting.
Well, that's why they paid me the big bucks, darling.
What'd you say?
So that's why they paid me the big bucks.
Well, okay, I want to discuss Matthew Perry because I'm
Yeah,
fascinated,
sure.
but I also
I'm going to be really
I don't
clear.
want-
I did not know him well. He was a friend through the program. And, we hung and chatted, over the years a handful
Yeah.
of times, but I don't want to, I'm not one of those people that like spent every minute with him. And there was a lot of people like that who were super close to him. So I just want to be.
But were you part of let's say like a recovery team at
No,
one
me and
point?
Matthew Perry were just friends.
Okay, got
We were
it.
just friends. He shared with me, he
He was very public about his story. He wrote a book about it.
yeah, he's a very, very sweet guy, but I think he's a really great example of how needed there is between alternative medicines and mainstream recovery, because there's such an opportunity there to lose sight of what the result wanted is.
Yeah.
Right. So, and this is sort of where my expertise come in. So dual diagnosis, and this is what I was sharing with you before we
Sure.
started, is that you have a mental health condition that you medicate with an addiction. And so when I remove your addiction, your mental health condition comes up worse. So if you
Okay.
have, let's call it narcissism,
Yeah.
right? And you're treating that, let's say with a comorbidity of fentanyl and sex.
Okay.
It's a perfect combo.
Yeah.
You squash the feelings, then you fuck a bunch, then you squash the feelings again, right?
Okay.
The minute I get you off fentanyl and get you off sex, your narcissism is going to be wild because it's
Interesting.
not being quelled. The same way when you take alcohol away from an alcoholic, their alcoholism gets worse unless you're treating it, which is, I think we all know what that dry moment feels like. So within that, what can happen is there's this loophole of this now alternative medicine thing that hasn't really been regulated. And you have people like Matthew Perry who are a target for predators.
Predators.
Yeah, and so you have these people who are predators who are keeping this very sick individual high, who obviously has a myriad of trauma. And, I think there's some major issues in the recovery industry at this point in time that, um, a lot of people experience, and why they would hire someone like me being taken advantage of. And
There are predators in the recovery industry, and it's terrible. And then they can get into this loop, this like what is it called, recovery loop, or it's like when they
it's like recidivism.
when they just I don't even know what that means.
Recidivism is when people get stuck in the jail situation,
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
can never get out of the jail system.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens in recovery. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. If someone has decent insurance, there's a chance that they could get
Oh, and they'll
sucked
get
into a very
kickbacks. People will give them kickbacks. I mean, it's just wild. I mean, I had to leave for that reason. It's just like, it's hard to be a good guy in a bad industry,
I was very impressed with. I went to Betty Ford. I was
Oh, yeah.
very, very, very impressed with that. I thought it was a great program
Mhm.
and did not seem to be filled with predators. I also went to another place in San Clemente that it seemed like they were interested in keeping people around and keeping them in the
In the system.
in the system.
Yeah.
But even though I thought they meant well, but I just got the sense that it wasn't.
I mean, did you ever hear that story about Chris Bathum?
I don't even know who that is, but no, I haven't heard the story.
Oh, the story's wild. I mean, one of my sponsees was one of the girls. So Chris Bathum was setting up skeleton rehabs, and he was getting the girls high and raping them. He's in jail for the rest of his life.
It's horrible.
Oh, it's wild. I mean, they want to make a movie about it, whatever. But like, yeah, he was doing skeleton rehabs, and then he was taking all the insurance money, raping and getting the girls high, then resubmitting
Jeez.
them. Yeah, I mean, he got life sentence.
What a monster.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean,
What is his name?
Chris Bathum. I taught in one of the rehabs. I didn't know,
Because
because I was doing consulting for rehabs at that time for
Yeah.
the protocol I'd came up with for my nutrition.
So, do you think that you mentioned narcissism?
Mm.
I feel like I am of the opinion in this moment that anyone that has someone break up with them, then they immediately like that person's a narcissist.
Sure.
So overused.
Yeah, I agree. Look, there's the what's the word? Pop culture
Yes.
term of narcissism, and then there's the DSM-5's definition. And those are two very different things, I think.
What's the difference?
So, in pop culture now, I feel that there's a duality going on. One is that the internet has created a bubble universe of which we're constantly being fed back our own rhetoric. And so within that, it's created almost like a mind virus of, let's say, narcissistic qualities. In the same way, in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, you would define the heavy drinker versus the alcoholic, right? So I think in the pop culture reference, we're talking about the heavy drinker.
Yeah.
We're talking about us as a society, we have a spotlight syndrome problem right now. And so that is the narcissism of pop culture. What narcissism actually is.
Yeah, what is narcissism?
Is the inability to deal with reality on reality's terms. And in order to do that, has to create an alternative reality.
Okay.
In order to survive their current state. And so a lot of times narcissists are products of abuse because they were dealing with so much abuse. So you see a lot of these like even offsets of narcissism like DID, dissociative identity disorder, like kids of cults such as like let's say Scientology, and I can't speak to Scientology today, but I know back in the day, and maybe we leave this off so I don't get murdered, but like and you run into these kids of cults that have these dissociative disorders, and narcissism is really just a dissociative disorder in order to maintain a safe reality in a really unsafe place, and then they carry it, much like alcoholism,
Yeah.
into their adulthood, and then they skew everyone's perception to meet the rules of the narcissist world.
Okay, so a narcissist is someone that can't
Deal with the inability of it, they have the inability to deal with reality on reality's terms.
okay.
What,
So
100%.
so they try to get everyone in their life to um to become in this fake reality.
So what they actually do is they do a couple different things. They
Okay.
triangulate.
Okay.
So one of the ways that you triangulate, I'll give you an example. Let's say sorry, remind me of your name again. Jerry, thank you. So let's say me, you, and Jerry are all at dinner, right?
Yeah.
And let's say I'm the narcissist. Okay, so like we're all having a good time, whatever. But let's say I brought you and Jerry together, and I don't know how much I want you guys to bond because, like, I don't know, like I like to have control of both of the relationships.
Okay.
So when Jerry goes to the bathroom, I'm like, wow, Jerry's coming on strong a little today, huh? You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, is that a new hairstyle he's doing? What the fuck is he trying to do with that? Just like small little seeds.
Okay.
Right? And then Jerry gets back from the bathroom, and then you go to the bathroom, and I'm like, wow, Ramsey, really? With the fucking hat, huh? And like, oh yeah. And I'm like, does he seem like he's depressed? Does he look depressed to you? He seems a little depressed, right? You know? And then so now you guys like you're judging his hair and his whatever coming on strong.
Sure.
He's judging your depression. Neither one existed. I just set you guys both off balance in order to maintain control of the lunch and see how much you guys would connect and bond.
Okay.
But the idea is the triangulation and the manipulation so that later down the line, if I decide that I want you guys not to be together anymore, because even though I hooked you up and I want to control the dynamics of you, I gaslight Jerry about his fucking coming on too strong. And because you tell me a story, I went out to coffee with Jerry the other day and I noticed what you were talking about. See, I told you.
Yeah.
But it's perception. I'm just setting you off balance to triangulate you guys against each other. This is what narcissists do.
Okay.
So that is a way. So they triangulate. They also gaslight. So after they've planted the seeds of triangulation, then they start to gaslight you on the reality and enroll you in it. And then they start a smear campaign against you. So they start to actually push out all this different altered details of your life. And they also trauma bond with you. So they excavate as many details as they can about you, and then they weaponize them in your smear campaign. So you're getting all these you're getting all these weird experiences of, let's say, people being influenced by the narcissist being in your orbit. Like the joke is like everybody ends up in therapy except for the narcissist.
Okay.
You know, because everyone else is actually feeling the pain. The narcissist feels no pain. It's completely dissociated.
Everyone goes to therapy because they've been gaslight and they thought they were crazy when they were being gaslit, and then now they have to now they're having trauma over thinking
in the same way an Al-Anon goes to Al-Anon after marrying an alcoholic and living in an alcoholic head. So it's very similar to that, but it's way more complex.
Okay.
Yeah. I just dealt with
Does the narcissist
a narcissist.
Are they aware of all the things they're doing?
So there's like levels, right? And then there's some subconscious stuff. And so like I had an experience in a relationship where I believe that he is a narcissist maybe he's a narcissist and his narcissism is really activated by his alcoholism.
Yeah.
So when he's sober, he's a fucking great guy. But when he is, I think, they used to call it a Jekyll and Hyde drinker. I would say a Jekyll and Hyde drinker is actually a fucking narcissist or a borderline.
Got it.
And so you get this like total twist of personality where they're like not themselves anymore, but they're not themselves because they have a mental health disorder.
It's interesting that they're all addictions you're trying to treat something, and then when you take that off, then you got the something to deal with. But I haven't really experienced that. Like as soon as I got rid of my addictions, my life like blossomed.
Sure. No, and I think it depends. It's like set and setting, right? So like my life is fucking blessed. I've had the craziest shit happen to me,
Okay.
like, ever. Like, one time I had a guy come up to me, tell me I was an angel from God, and give me $3,000 2 days before my rent was due, when my trust ran out. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
I've had, like, the most cosmic fucking gifts of the program. I've, healed the bedevilments. I
Sure.
have the promises, all the things. I have had the experience that when I have delved deeper, and I've been calling these last couple of years for myself getting sober for my soul, and that when I've delved deeper, there are when you shake the sediment on the bottom of the ocean,
Yeah.
you will see what's there. And just because you can swim at the top without getting,
Okay.
infected by what's on the bottom of the ocean doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
True. I get it.
You know what I'm saying? So I think I've had the experience of sometimes you can live a sort of like pink clouded life, but as this process gets deeper and as the path gets narrower,
Yeah.
the depth of the work also does.
That makes sense. I'm like, I go into these, I've been to like the Hoffman
Oh yeah, I
Institute.
want to
That
do
was really
Hoffman. I
amazing.
heard
That pulled up a
Hoffman's
lot
great.
of stuff, but
Yeah.
and I have a lot. I thought should. I mean, I have tons of trauma and everything, but I do feel like um, as soon as I got rid of the addiction, like that was,
I get it.
I'm like, I don't know, the trauma doesn't really even, whatever's going on. I mean, I lived most of my life kind of like a lab,
Yeah.
like pretty happy.
Yeah.
And I don't really get that freaked out about stuff. So I feel really grateful for that. That I
For
don't,
sure.
that I'm not, it didn't leave me with a bunch of just open triggers.
Sure.
It's been the best thing ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I certainly understand that what you're saying, where all of a sudden, if you just take away the ability to numb yourself all of a sudden, and you might be like terrified at what you have to deal with.
It only takes one drop of poison to poison the whole well, babe.
Yeah, no, I get it.
You know?
I get it. But I was nearly suicidal before getting sober, or just having
Yeah.
these thoughts, and then all of a sudden I was so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh,
They're
it's
gone.
mainly this thing that I was
Yeah.
the
Dude,
thing
yeah,
that I
it's
thought
alcoholism.
that I was trying to treat
Ideation.
something with.
Yeah.
It's like, thank God it's gone. I didn't really believe in a spirit. Like, I thought that the idea of a spiritual awakening was impossible, and then I had one, and it's been the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine ever having moments where I didn't think, this, whatever I'm doing, however happy, however sad, however I'm feeling, I think it would be better if I just if I could add something with this drug or that drug or this drug, this alcohol, it'll be better. And just the thought of that, I never thought would go out of my head.
What was your spiritual awakening?
I was like at a rock bottom, and I had someone kind of praying over me, and it worked. Like it was like more
What was the experience?
this dude, his name was Eddie, and he was, and I was in a like a bunk place at a rehab, this amazing rehab called the Dream Center, which was a free rehab. So I'd gone to Betty Ford, which is the opposite of free, and it was great, but it didn't stick. And I was in this place really humbled, and I was really down on myself for being there. And I didn't think, I thought just the amount of guilt and the amount of anger I had with myself. And so he said this prayer over me. He goes, I pray that this Tyler will forgive himself and be able to move forward. And in that moment, I was like, I totally forgive myself. Yeah. And was laughing like that about it.
Cute.
I love that laugh that you just gave was so real. And I was like, oh my gosh. And there was a dude in the bunk underneath, and his name was Princess Skittles. And it was so, yeah. And he was, I think he had been jailed he had just been arrested for becoming like a male prostitute. And it was like such a different guy, a different life story than I had. And I was like, hey, Princess Skittles. I'm like, did you feel anything just now? He's like, dude, I think I did. I was like, I feel like I want to forgive myself. He's like, dude, I think I might. Anyway, I don't know that Princess Skittles, like, he left the rehab like 2 days later.
Yeah. That
But
happens.
and he had
You talking about the Dream Center downtown?
yeah.
Yeah, I used to volunteer there.
The
Yeah, I used
best.
to volunteer in the food.
Did you? Oh man,
I used to do it on Thanksgiving a lot.
very cool.
Yeah.
That is I am they're like this is actually a great time to say they're kind of our sponsor in that I tell everyone, hey, if you want to do anything with money in general, it's called
Donate to the Dream Center.
yeah,
I mean, they were doing some aid, too.
dreamcenter.org.
Yeah.
They're doing huge
There's
things for
AIDS,
these fires right now.
No, I know. I saw that.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
I am so inspired by this place. They do everything.
Yeah, they really do. They do a really good job.
They'll take anyone
I know.
that needs
It's
help.
not like, because like a lot of times I get calls about like rehab or someone struggling.
Yeah.
And one of the things in my coaching is that I'm really good with working with the insurance,
Yeah.
and trying to figure out matches for insurance or
Sure.
getting people out of state insurance that could then
Yeah.
get them covered and yada, 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 or scholarships. And so, but like, it's always so challenging when you have a place like Claire, which is an amazing program, but you gotta, their wait list is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, I gotta, if I got to have someone who's just gotta get seen right away, you gotta like make phone calls.
If you have no insurance, this is the place to go to.
Yeah. No, it's great. That's great.
There's one tough thing that is, I have a lot of friends with means, some with unlimited means, and I want to go, dude, listen, the best thing you could go to do for yourself is to go to this place
Right now,
that's going to be so rough and rugged and you're going to hate it.
And then you'll never want to do it again.
Yeah, it's amazing. But most rehabs are so comfortable and lovely. And
I went to a fancy rehab.
You did?
I did. Yeah.
Your one rehab. Bethesda.
Yeah, Father Martin's Ashley. But they graduated me early.
They did?
Yes, they said I had achieved
Earlier than 30 days?
They said I had achieved,
which is not enough, by the way.
It's
not enough time.
graduated me at 22 days, saying I had achieved the maximum efficacy of their program.
Oh my God.
Basically, I was spending my days wearing really slutty outfits when you weren't allowed to, men and women weren't allowed to talk, and my nights taking like Jiffy peanut butters and smashing them on the ground and being like, I didn't come here to eat hydrogenated oils.
Oh my gosh.
And gluten. And then,
what a headache.
And then
gosh.
begging to talk to my dad.
I would roll my eyes as hard as I possibly could when people in rehab would go on and on about the gluten or something. I'm like, we all took a mass amounts of drugs. I'm like, you have track marks. I'm like, who are you kidding?
No, totally. They made the group do a group to tell me how disruptive I was to the group in my smaller group therapies.
What disruptive you were to the group?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They all, and I was just like,
well, you have wild stories that I
was
feel
like, cool. I'm gonna go do yoga. See you guys. Sounds like a you problem. I had a spiritual experience there though.
You have wild stories though that also everyone's talking about a group, and I can just see. I mean, myself be like, no, just more of these wild stories.
Okay, so I have this. So I get to Father Martin's Ashley, and I'm in detox, and they're letting me sleep with the light on. I'm also fairly afraid of the dark.
Okay.
In general, still to this day, and
the dark is scary.
The dark is scary, and especially when you're in my life. So I get out of detox, and I'm now in a room with a couple girls, and it's this particular rehab is right outside kind of the Ivy League mix of states, so it's in between.
Oh, and you're a rehab 10. There's anyone that is in any other parts of the world by the way, I think it's so crass to use these numbers.
No,
a 7 or 5. It's
I love it.
There's a phrase where it's oh my, there's some guy I follow online. His name's Wes Watson, and he uses phrase. He's like, the person's an Omaha 7.
Yeah. No, I mean we did. I mean, look, we're in LA. You gotta. There's attractiveness is the thing.
Yeah. But in rehab, anyone is remotely put together as a 10.
Yeah. I mean, it's I always say it's like being queen of the cockroaches, big fucking deal, so anyway, this woman is pretty uptight. I know she's not gonna let me. She hates me already. She's not gonna let me fucking sleep with the light on. And, they've been telling you, like, pray, pray. And so I'm like, all right. So I say this prayer, like, all right, fucking God. All right, God.
Oh my gosh.
Help me sleep tonight because I'm afraid of the dark. And I swear to God, at this exact moment, the street lamp goes on outside my window. And it gets brighter and brighter, and it shines through the window like a cross. Mind you, I'm a Jew, but I'm at a priest's created rehab because this
Okay.
is supposed to be. This was like one of the first priests to be
You
openly
can
sober.
bond over the Old Testament.
Yeah,
Okay.
fine, fuck it.
Yeah.
And so it shines in like a cross, and and it trickles down, and it fucking touches me. I swear, and I'm filled with like this incredibly warm feeling.
Amazing.
And I'm like,
I believe it.
no fucking way. I am fucking high on Robitussin or something right now. I take some coffee. I'm like, no fucking way. I'm like opening the windows. I'm like eyeing up my roommates, like paranoid. I go down to the light. I'm like smoking a cigarette. And I'm like eyeing up the fucking light. But I'll tell you, after that moment, everything got better.
Amazing.
Like the sunshine just a little brighter. Like what felt like an uphill climb up a mountain was just gone.
It's spectacular.
And it was so wild. And I believe that's why I was struck sober. I mean, I never had a desire to drink and use. I shouldn't say never. I very rarely throughout my sobriety have had a desire to drink or use. These last couple of years, I've delved really deep into my trauma, and I will tell you, I understand after confronting those shadows why people relapse, and I had never understood prior to that.
You have to have some type of higher power that you have to turn things over to.
Absolutely.
And everyone that is so stubborn about that, I'm just like, oh my God.
You're just making it so much more difficult for yourself.
Why?
Yeah.
Why would you?
Who cares?
There's such an ego I've no, actually zero judgment. I have one of my closest friends. He's just like, he has such a blessed life and he can't get his head around the fact that, I don't want to say his name, but he just doesn't believe in anything. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you were such a miracle. How can you not believe? You are a miracle. How can you not believe?
Because it's the same reason that people who create drama don't have anything going on with their purpose. When you are blessed in those
love some drama.
ways, but like it's when you're diverting from your purpose and you're in your ego. When you are blessed in certain ways that you don't know. I will say this about myself. I have not necessarily had an easy life, but I have definitely had a blessed life.
Yeah.
And within that, I've gotten too fucking comfortable. I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God, I hate being on this yacht. These girls are so whiny. Like, I'm just like totally disassociated from actual reality. The fact that I'm like living this blessed life and I'm whining and
that is an amazing
losing perspective.
It's an amazing example. I hate being on this yacht. These girls are so whiny. I'm on this thing that can float on this great ocean. And it's like probably
everything's paid for.
Yeah.
Everything's 5-star. We have chefs serving us. And I'm like, God, these bitches are so dumb.
Yes.
Like, and then I'm whining about them as if like,
and you're being dumb, whining about dumb.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then I'm like not even grateful to be there.
It's a great example.
Yeah. It's really
my favorite
wild.
example is I used to like God. This is your example. I think I might even like better than this, but sometimes I think the way I think about God sometimes is that like a parent that takes kids to Disneyland and it's you put all this, you get so excited about your kids going and you think, oh my God, this is going to be this wonderful experience. and these rides are incredible, but the rides also involve a line.
Yeah.
And they're also like one kid's churro might be bigger than another kid's churro. So that's a reason to complain.
Totally.
The line is a reason to complain. It's never going to be hot or cold enough, even though it's LA. It's probably, and then even the line sometimes might be scary. And so anytime I ever see anyone with kids and their kids are complaining about the experience, my thoughts are, that kid sucks. That kid is the worst. And so the idea that God would look at anyone and they might be having complaints like, I wish my brother didn't pass away, or I wish I wouldn't have been molested as a kid. I'm like, there's a chance that God still is like, oh my gosh, that kid sucks. Like, why don't they just enjoy the fact that it's a ride and it's up and down and
I have a hard time with that. I have a thing that gets me out of it. I call it God is my assistant.
oh my gosh, I don't know that I'm going to get behind this, but tell
No,
me.
yeah. So I basically like if I were to like be in a position where I had an assistant who could take care of like these macro problems.
Okay.
So it's like a third step, you know what I mean? Like, but I look at it like because I'm very like systemized, right? Like, what
Yeah.
are my macro problems right now? Well, I got this fucking dickhead, you know, who's an enemy, bad mouthing me, or I got this thing, or I got that thing, but things I like really don't have control over.
These
There's
are
no-
macro problems.
Yeah,
Okay.
these are you know what I mean? They're things I have no control over.
I thought you were going to say
or-
like Gaza is a macro problem.
I don't get into the details of
That's
other.
way too bigger. That's way too. No, but okay.
Yeah, I don't, that's not, I'm too narcissistic, I think, probably for that. But
Okay.
if I'm having a dialogue with God about my life, like, I'm
Yeah.
not talking about Gaza.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. But, just because it's.
By the way, did you just use narcissism improperly? Like, is that?
Yeah, I used it in the pop culture sense.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, because it exists. That's real.
It's
by now.
become more just like as someone
I mean, it
who's
was
selfish.
a joke. I was being tongue in
I get it.
cheek.
But I'm so like I feel
self-obsessed. I mean,
Yeah,
look, something my sponsor used to say to me all the time is like, Dani, you are going to die of self-obsession. You know, like she's like,
Yeah.
you're a pig flailing in 1 inch of mud. Like, shut the fuck up already.
Oh,
And
I like that.
yeah, no. And then she would just hang up on me. Thank God. And
The amount of incredible sayings that come from anyone who's spent time in the program,
for sure.
they're so amazing. But I haven't heard that one. A pig dying, flailing in an inch of mud.
Yeah.
And the pig should enjoy the mud.
Yeah.
That's like, of course.
But I used to do these things where I would just do these God to-do lists. Like if I had an assistant or
Yeah.
a to-do list for God, what would I put on it? Because I like actually can't deal. Even if it's stupid, even if it's like just relative to my own sanity, but
Yeah.
like, you know, objectively it looks however it looks, right?
Sure.
Like, and so I would just make these God to-do lists and then I'd take a fucking nap.
Spectacular.
Yeah. And I would tell you, I'd wake up and like half of them would be done. I would just get random phone calls. I'd be like, God, I need 15 grand today. Someone call me, just give me 15 grand. It's wild.
That's a delightful problem. Or
Yeah.
you're very.
But then I got to a place where it was working so well that I kept, you know, it's like new level, new devil.
Yeah.
And then like I would just get to this place where I was like, well, you know, the free trips aren't working and the yachts aren't and like and it's what I've realized in this search of like getting sober for my soul is that I wasn't really aligning with purpose. And it's so funny because it's what I coach on and it's what all of my clients deal with is that, you know, I'm dealing with this, you know, people who have all these means,
Yeah.
but they don't have purpose. And that's really why they're
It's a
struggling.
real problem, isn't it?
It's a real problem. And how I always know my life is diverting from my primary purpose is that there's a lot of drama.
Yeah.
And whether it's with other people or whether other people are having drama with me, I'll tell you, doing intervention is not dramatic profession,
Sure.
but most of it just doesn't impact me because it's not even in my atmosphere, you know?
Yeah.
Whether it's happening or not, I don't even really know because I'm so unengaged with it.
You can't for any real meaningful amount of time if you're not pursuing your purpose, somehow your whole life is gonna suffer.
Unravel.
You know what seems crazy to me is that Matthew Perry, he seemed like he had found his purpose, which was being a champion for sobriety, and he had that book about it. And probably, I can't tell you how many people probably went up to him and say, "Oh, you've helped me."
Such and a really genuine, sweet person, at least from my experience of him.
I've only met him a few times, and he seemed terrific.
Yeah, very sweet.
But what was the drug that he died from?
Ketamine.
Oh yeah, ketamine, which was sort of like a California sober, kind of like
Sure.
loophole
But
to
this
some
but
people.
this is what I was saying, the disconnect between the alternative medicine world and the uh and the mainstream recovery world is so vast
Yeah,
that there's so much possibility. I mean,
sure.
he had shared with me that he had gone to, I want to say it's Sweden. No, don't, nobody hold me to these details, and I'm recalling it to the best of my ability, but and that they had to crack his ribs to give him some kind of resuscitation because he had overdosed on ketamine there.
Oh crap! I didn't know that.
I mean, that was something he shared with me. So, and so when I saw the story, was I shocked?
I mean, he had those absolute predators, though, hyenas,
100%. But so he
delighting
was
in that they were selling a
he was
sucker.
open about that story. And here's what I would say: if Matthew Perry had been my client after knowing that story,
Yeah.
there's no world where you co-sign ketamine.
Yeah.
Because he has a story that regardless of what his desires are, that in recovery he had already struggled with this behavior.
Yeah.
So a repeat of that is actually an indulgence in his addiction. But look, and this is what the problem is.
I hope they burn those people.
Oh yeah, fuck those people. They
Yeah.
can go fucking rot in hell. But I'm saying, but here's the difference is that there's not a model for those people or a standard to put it up against. It's being built right now in this story.
Sure.
And that is where we're in, and I hope they set a standard around them, because we're in a really delicate time where people are fucking drinking ayahuasca, like it's water.
Yeah, I know.
And taking ketamine like it's gonna solve every emotional.
Ibogaine.
Ibogaine.
I've heard really positive things about
Yeah, I
Ibogaine.
set up a lot of Ibogaine experiences
Yeah.
and was the coach on the ground for them. It's a wild thing to witness.
Did you see a lot of successful? Was it
So
productive?
here's the tricky thing about Ibogaine. Ibogaine has been primarily used for opioid addiction.
Yeah.
What it does is it resets your receptors.
Right.
So if you do relapse, you die a lot of the time afterwards.
Gadzooks.
Because your receptors have been reset. This is my understanding. Again, this could be pseudoscience. I don't want to be quoted as I'm saying this is fact. But my understanding in my experience and the conversations I had around supporting those desires from my clients
Sure.
was that in that reset, so you're getting your client to detox, and let's say you get them off of an opioid for 3 months, let's call it, right? Which is a win on an opioid addict.
Huge win.
Yeah. You get them off of it for 3 months. They haven't necessarily registered that they can no longer use the amount that they were using prior to relapse because you've detoxed the body with the Ibogaine.
Yeah.
So now the threshold is so much lower, and how you end up with accidental overdoses.
Oh, crap.
Is that they're not clocking. Even if you educate them, even if you tell them, even if you, I've had this argument with so many clients where I'm like, dude, just do heroin. I can Narcan you. Please just don't do fentanyl. Do heroin, I'll Narcan you. I got Narcan bags.
The idea that anyone would choose. I mean, I've so many friends have died from
reduction.
fentanyl.
You're just trying. But so then you get these, and then they go out and they OD. And that is actually the highest statistical overdose usually happens after the longest in a certain amount of time sobriety.
Right.
Like a 3-month period or something, because their body can't handle the amount that they were doing prior to that detox that created results. Yeah, it's a really tricky, but all these things, nobody's educating anybody on them.
Nobody's what?
Educating anybody on them. I mean, it's wild to me, so many times where I get inside a family system and I'm like, okay, my understanding and experience is this. I've talked about, and I'm in the process of doing a 501c3 where I give grants to projects that include underdiagnosed mental health disorders in the characters because we don't have a lot of media references.
Oh, wow. That's
Around
interesting.
that. Yeah, so I've been working on that for a couple of years and I'm gearing up, but
So I started this podcast because I love the conversations that I've had in recovery. And then also I had, and one of my interviews that did so well was my friend Army Hammer. And he received like a very raw, or very like, there's a lot of stuff that was really false about kind of the reasons. I don't know why I'm having so trouble like saying this. Like he just got a raw deal. I feel like he got a raw deal.
sure, yeah.
And so
I mean,
want
I'm familiar with the
yeah. So
details.
it's like, so one is I like a lot of the stories of recovery, and then I just like anyone that has the story of like overcoming a hurdle to something else, and I really wanted to add like light to it. And then we just had somebody else that came through. His name's Billy Jensen. And he was canceled and he had kind of like a tough deal happen. But
I actually think, and I'll say this, I think the Aziz story is the best story.
oh my God, that's the craziest piece of crap ever.
Okay, but I think
Oh my
this
gosh,
is
okay.
at the crux of the problem. This
The
is
Aziz story, okay.
The Aziz
yeah.
story. This is the micro
Yeah.
of the problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Explain.
So you get, and this is how I understand the story. I'm not close to it. I don't know
Yeah,
Aziz. Let me be really clear about all that. You get this guy who meets this girl on a plane, right? And she's impressed with his celebrity.
Sure.
He's obviously, he's a funny guy. He's not the best looking guy in the world, but like it. And so he's now like, hey, well, when you land, you want to come to this event with me?
Sure.
Okay. So he brings her to this cool event, something for somebody who's outside of entertainment. Impressive. And one of the fun things about being an entertainer is to be able to offer that as a resource. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That is why, that's one of the perks.
That's
one of the
perks. The perk. You're right.
And so, she's enjoying herself and he's sort of over it because he goes to these fucking things all the time. And halfway through the dinner, he's like, hey, like, I'm kind of getting over this thing. Do you want to go back to my place? Okay, here, I'm going to tell you what happened and what the problem is. And this is across all dating.
Okay.
We as women have a plan to go out with a stranger in order to feel safe. We don't know this man. We don't know anything that could happen. And so when there's a plan and the plan changes, we're still assessing if this guy is a safe guy to be alone with and to be in a sexual proximity to. We have not collected enough data and we were comfortable with the plan and the timing to collect the data of if we wanted to be in close sexual proximity with him.
Sure.
So he cut that short.
Yeah.
He cut that short. And now there's the pressure of celebrity. Am I replaceable? Is it like this guy could get a bunch of women? He's famous. He's got resources. He's got clout. Do I go home with him and do I, sleep with him because I don't want to lose the opportunity?
Yeah.
Or do I just let it go? And do I have enough self-worth in that moment, to be able to go like, well, I walked away from that and something with what it could have been. He's cut the data collection short because it fucked up the timing of the date.
Yeah.
And so now she's like, okay, well, I don't want to lose this is what I think. Again, I just want to be really clear. This is all just my like own personal
That's valuable
stuff.
perspective.
And so, he brings her home and how she recounts the story is that, he goes right into trying to go down on her. And she was sort of a taken back. And he's like kind of comes on too strong and they like sort of fool around, but she's like, her nervous system's trying to catch up and she's like, I'm going to need to take a beat. They watch some TV. He calms down a little bit. I think we've all been there. I certainly have been there where a guy comes on a little strong, but I'm not interested. I'm just like on a different timing than him. Right. And they take a beat and she hasn't like figured out her exit, but she's probably kind of trying to figure out her exit. And then he starts in again, and now she's tired of like sort of fighting him off. So she gives him a blowjob because she doesn't want to fuck him. And she leaves and she feels bad about herself and she feels bad about the experience. And he was not picking up the cues and she was doing all kinds of things in a girl way to be like, hey, I'm not I don't want to be this far, you know? And it's a really hard thing to say. And men don't receive it well, you
No.
know? Because I'm a chick with really fucking hard boundaries. And I grew up in a house of men. I'm not afraid of them. I will tell them exactly what the fuck I'm thinking. And I can't tell you how many times I've had men really fucking, you know, push back on me
Sure,
or
of
make
course.
it about me or gaslight me or turn it around on
Sure.
me or try to manipulate me or all kinds of things, you know? And I have to just be like, yeah, I just don't fucking care, you know? But that's a hard thing for women
Hard.
to do. And so, especially if you're a non-entertainment person with someone who's famous, especially.
You have a perspective that I think is helpful.
Yeah. So anyway, I think these things is a really great example of like a micro detail of society, which is that women need to have better fucking boundaries and articulate them because men, look, I know men really well. I like I said, I grew up a house of men.
Yeah.
They don't know. They're not reading cues. They're not women. They're not
No.
hairy women. They're fucking men. You got to literally like be like, so listen, here is what I'm thinking and feeling. The result is that I don't want to fuck you. It is not because I don't ever not want to fuck you. I just don't want to fuck you right now because I am not feeling relaxed or safe because you are a stranger.
Yes.
And then they're like, huh.
But you know what? Men would hear that and go, well, I'm a caveman, so she does want to fuck me, so I'll just keep working at it.
No, it's like,
Right,
no,
but
it's like Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
So there's a chance.
Yes. It's
So you're saying there's a
And I've
chance.
had men who have been after me for 20 years that I've
Yeah.
had that conversation with over 400 times. I can't even tell you. But and that's fine. You know what I mean? And that is the other thing about it, which is that men are just men and they're
Yeah.
built their own way.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to go like, do I like men and do I want to interact with their system? Because that is just how it's built. And enough of the complaining about it. They're not hairy women. They're fucking men.
They're not hairy women.
They're not hairy women.
They're not hairy women.
But also, we are not, and this is where this third wave of neo-feminism fucking garbage really fucking pisses me off. They're also like, we're not soft men.
Yeah.
We're not femboys. We're women, you know, and it's a whole different thing. And men now have been taught like, well, men and women are fucking equal. No, we're the opposite because we are literally the opposite sex. That's why it's called that.
Genetically,
We couldn't be any more different. So
the opposite. Yeah.
And that's why I think we run into these things in Me Too, because there's such a lack of desire to understand where everybody is coming from. And that's what I loved about the Aziz thing. And that's what I thought actually cheapened it, is because her timing of the release of the story was during the award season.
Oh,
when
so
he
crappy.
and I thought that it really cheapened, because, you know, the next day she hit him up and she was like, dude, I didn't feel good about that. And he apologized.
Yeah.
And that communication came a little too late, you know, but we're all doing the best we can, right? But then it like cheapened her whole story.
No, the whole thing is garbage.
By looking strategically to punish him career-wise when, like, look, like, you didn't set some boundaries at the right time, like, on your shit, and he, you know, wasn't reading the room good enough. He, you know, he needs to own his shit, and let's, like, work it out. And, like, look, if she's looking for money, like, he put himself in that position. Like, I don't know what to say, but, like, that's America. But
that's America.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah.
That's how we end. I love a good Irish goodbye. So thank you. You're spectacular.